The self-storage business is evolving at a very fast rate today. We're having to deal with issues that I've never had to deal with before in the business. And as we create the next year, very often what happens is a very familiar, a very unwelcome thought, belief begins to arise. Somewhere in the realm like, we really do this? Can I really do this? Am I enough? Will I be able to da-da-da-da-da? Disempowering beliefs will begin to arise that can block what's possible for you and your self-storage business in the upcoming year. Fortunately, I know what to do every time those thoughts arise, and that's what I want to share with you today. How to dissolve a disempowering belief. My name's Mark Helm. I'm the author of Creating Wealth Through Self-Storage, creator of the Self-Storage Quick Start Academy. And what I do is I support small investors who want to get in the self-storage business and who want to grow their self-storage business in a strategic way that creates true wealth in a fulfilling career. Find out more about the Self-Storage Quick Start Academy at quickstartacademy.com or creatingwealththroughselfstorage.com and click Quick Start Academy. Free courses, paid courses to support you in this fantastic business. And yes, we're having to deal with things I've never had to deal with before. Extreme overbuilding in some of the sub-markets. Extreme price dropping in overbuilt markets by some of the REITs. Property tax increases in many markets simultaneously. New online marketing techniques we have to learn. Competition price changing daily. And then of course the old familiar low cap rate overpriced properties that we're trying to put into service. Now, dealing with these new challenges require new questions, new strategies, and new goals. And as we begin to create the year and begin to deal with what we got to deal with in our own company that will position us in a way to win, what begins to arise is a very familiar, a very ever present in the background, almost not a totally complete thought, but a very nagging kind of thing that's there, like you've been here before and you haven't succeeded, or what makes you think you're going to be able to do it now, or I'm not enough. Now usually that's a hard thought to be with. We don't really fully think it out. It just stays in the background. But what's in the background can totally control what's possible in your life and in your business. Now, fortunately, I've been trained over the years what to do when I recognize that is there and there's something to deal with. Now, as we're creating the next year and completing this year, that's often for me when this I'm not enough, you haven't succeeded, what makes you think you'll do it, all those things begin to arise in me. Those thoughts, undistinguished, can presto quickly turn into a very disempowering belief that literally will freeze and limit what's possible for you and your business, or whatever else you're dealing with in life where those thoughts are being applied. So I want to share with you some work that has been given to me. Now, nothing I'm going to share is original. I have learned this all mostly from Byron Katie and the project called The Work That She's Taught. I've seen Tony Robbins implement this strategy at his business mastery sessions I've been at, and I've learned to use this process over and over again. And when I begin to recognize in me that disempowering thought, the thought somewhere like I'm not enough, or we're not enough, or it's not enough, I know now what to do. And let me share with you the process we go through and I go through to dissolve a disempowering belief. The first thing is I really flush out what that thought really is. Most of the time it's not a fully thought out thought. It's something in the back of my mind just nagging me like, what makes you think you can do this, or you failed before. Now, what I've noticed is if you write it down, and when we tend to write down, we tend to get fancy. What I've noticed is most people, even adults, have a very juvenile conversation in their mind. My conversation with myself is more like a 12 or 14-year-old, and I've grown up recently. I've had to work to get it to that age. Our conversation in our head's a fairly juvenile conversation. I'll write down exactly what's going on in my head. And the reason for that is it's important to get it out of the background into the foreground. And what's happening is we're making something mean something about ourselves. And 99.9% of the time when you do that, it's negative and disempowering. Write it down. Now, in Byron Katie's The Work, there are 3 or 4 steps you go through. So write down what the disempowering belief is, or the disempowering thought. And then you ask yourself 3 or 4 questions. The first question is it true? Look at what you've written down and you ask yourself the question, is it true? Now, if the immediate answer is no, it's not true, which is never the case for me, by the way, but if it is, then you skip question 2. But usually when I ask that question, the immediate answer for me is, well, yes. Last year I said I would put 30 million in service and I got 5. That was a pretty dismal failure. And I've got evidence to back it up. Is it true? Well, it appears to be true. Absolutely, yes. But keep asking that question. Is it really true? Is it really true? And if the answer keeps coming up yes, go to question 2. Could there possibly be another interpretation that you could come up with? Can you know for sure it's absolutely true? Can you know for sure you're absolutely true that you're a failure and you will never be able to put $30 million into service in 1 year, or whatever you're dealing with? Can you be absolutely sure? Is there another interpretation you could have created? See, I realized that because all that happened was we put 5 million in, not 30. All the rest I'm creating. It's coming out of my head. The what so is 5, not 30. The fact that I failed, I'll probably fail again, all of that is just an interpretation of the fact 5 and 30. Could there be another interpretation? Could I have made something else up? Well, the answer is yes. Is it true? Not true. It might be valid, but it's not true. Is there another interpretation you could create? Well, yes, there is. Now, you're not ready to move on yet, but what you're doing is you're taking responsibility and acknowledging that this familiar feeling and conversation that you've now distinguished is not true. It's just an interpretation that you created based on what's going on. Could you create something else? Sure. Now, what will happen is you'll get to the point where you realize it's just not true. It might be valid, but it's not true. Then you ask the third question. How do you feel when you have that thought? How do you react? How do you feel when you have that thought? Now, the tendency here now is to go into the head and not connect with how you feel, but really connect. When I have that feeling that I'm not doing well, when I'm a failure, is that I failed again, like really get whatever it is that you're dealing with, really get present to how it makes you feel. And then the fourth question, how would you be if you didn't have that feeling or thought? Or what could be possible for you without that? And then really get present to that. I mean, really get present to that. If I did not have the thought, I failed again, and all of the baggage that goes with that, what would be possible for me? What would be possible for my company? And then you do what's called a turnaround. Now, I know it's theoretical, we'll apply it in a second. The turnaround is you create a new interpretation of the facts that's the opposite of what you said before, and you create it and be with it till it seems just as real as the other one. Now, let me show you how this works in real life. This process took me about 10 minutes, so I'm really working on getting complete with 2017. And when I came to that third question we talked about last week, and it was 5 million, not 30 million, that very familiar, like, here we go again kind of thought came up. So I really wrote it down. I don't feel like saying the exact words that I wrote down, but it was something around, here we go again, you've never done it, what makes you think you'll be able to do it again, nobody's going to listen to you, you're going to fail, and people will think you're not successful. Some version of that. I was very clear on what I said to myself, but I wrote that down. Then I asked myself the question, is it true? Well, yes, it's true. It's true I hit 5 million, not 30 million, that I've done this over and over again. I've always missed my goals a little bit. It seems like I sabotage or something comes up that stops me from getting it. But is it really true? Well, yes. No, I mean, really, is it true? Haven't you been successful before? Isn't $5 million successful? And I really get to the point, I keep asking, is it really true? Is it really true? And I get to the point where I get that and can own that that's an interpretation that I came up with. Like, I made that up. I could have made anything up, but I made that up. I started making that up when I was a kid, but I continue as an adult to still gravitate towards that conversation that I'm not enough. So I really take ownership for it, and I get in my gut that, yes, I made that up. I could have made something else up. I mean, there's been many times where I have been successful. Many, many times. Could there be another interpretation? Absolutely, there could be another interpretation. Another interpretation could be, I successfully put 5 million in. I didn't hit my goal, but we got 5 million in, and 5 million's impacting our employees, impacting our investors. 5 million is what we needed to put in this year. I mean, I could create any number of interpretations. How would I be without that thought? Well, when I have that thought, it's just like very debilitating. It stops me. It makes me fearful to even create anything because I feel like a fraud. It literally makes me want to take a nap. I want to go sleep somewhere when I'm real present to that thought. What would be possible for me without that thought? I can create anything I want to create for myself and my company. And I want to create something big and bold, and I want to come out and make a difference in the world, in the lives of the small investors, in the lives of our employees and partners. And I really get present to all of that. And the turnaround for me is, I am successful. I can point to so many successes I've had in the self-storage business. It's just stupid and silly and very juvenile for me to allow myself to wallow in self-pity because I didn't hit a goal. And when I get to that point, then I am empowered and I'm able to create what needs to be created to forward us towards our vision. And that's literally the process I go through, and it takes me about 10 minutes. Now, I learned this initially at our church. Byron Katie came and talked. She has a program called The Work, and then I've seen it applied in a professional setting with Tony Robbins and Business Mastery, and people have used this all over in many environments that I've been at. It is a process that is quick, very effective, and works to remove disempowering beliefs for me, especially as I'm creating around the new year in our self-storage business. So I invite you, if you think this type process can help you, there's all types, all you have to do is Google it, and there's all types of free resources online that can support you in going deeper in this work. So now you know a process to employ every time you have a disempowering thought or belief about yourself and about your business. Literally, this is exactly what I do. If you're creating your self-storage business or anything in your life, this works great with relationships. But in your self-storage business, if you have any disempowering thoughts about you, about what you can accomplish, and about what's possible, try this technique out. It makes a huge difference, because then you're freed up to create true wealth and a fulfilling career in the self-storage business. My name's Mark Helm. I'm the author of Creating Wealth Through Self-Storage, and I'm the creator of the Storage World Analyzer, a phenomenal tool that we use every single day in the self-storage business to analyze self-storage projects, to lay out the future cash flows. We use it in our projections that we give to our lenders, to our partners, that tells us what we can pay for the property. We love this program and couldn't function without it. If you'd like to explore it, if you're not using it, go to storageworldanalyzer.com or go to creatingwealththroughselfstorage.com. Thank you. Create a very powerful next year for yourself and your storage business, and I look forward to being with you again soon.